We're talking hyperpigmentation of the skin, melasma, skin oiliness, hypertension, inability to heal, inhibition of or suppression of the healing process, degeneration, inflammation, immune diseases, which is basically all chronic degenerative diseases. They're all immune and inflammatory health challenges at their core. All of these issues have one single thread that runs behind them all. They have one thing in common. They're all manifestations of a long-term stress response. The stress response is wonderful. Praise God, we've got a stress response that's housed largely in the adrenal glands, but it's only supposed to kick in once in a while. And once it kicks in, it's only supposed to kick in for a very short period of time. So when we talk about stress as being the cause, we talk about stress as being behind hyperpigmentation and skin oiliness and high blood pressure, etc. We're talking about long-term, chronic, drip, 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 low levels of stress that never ends. For some of us, it just goes on and on and on and on, pretty much for our whole lives, except when we're sleeping. And you know what? Sometimes we don't even sleep. If you have a problem with insomnia, rest assured you got the chronic, long-term, drip, 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 slow, low-level stress. This is what insomnia is about. I get all kinds of letters from people who can't sleep. Sure, melatonin will help you sleep, lithium, GABA, even niacin. There's lots of things you can use, magnesium. There's lots of things you can use to kind of calm the body down. But as long as you have this stress response that's kicking in, the body isn't going to let you sleep. You know what? We may be stupid. Human beings may be dumb. You and I may be dumb, but the body is not. If the body perceives that its life is at stake, and this is what the stress response really is about, it's a survival response. If the body perceives that there's this survival threat, it's not going to let you fall asleep. It's not going to let you make a baby. It's not going to let your blood pressure go down. It's not going to let your digestive system work. It's not going to let you heal. It's not going to let you build. See what I'm saying here, you guys? Behind it all is a body in distress. Behind every one of our health challenges, you will find the chemistry of survival. And this stress response, this survival response, is controlled or mediated by hormones. Meaning, we have a stressor, and that stressor can be physical, it can be blood sugar stressors, it could be toxicity that's coming in through the digestive system, it could be problems with respiration, lack of oxygenation, or it could be psychological. It could be a credit card bill. It could be a problem with your kids or your wife or your relationship. It could be the news. It could be something that you hear about on that freaks you out, that you hear about on CNN. Whatever. You get a stressor that comes into your life, and specific hormones, stress hormones, are secreted from the adrenal glands, and the stress response is initiated. The response begins. So stress leads to hormone secretion, then the stress response, be it hyperpigmentation, hypertension, oily skin, or whatever. In other words, once stress hormones are released into the body will respond in multiple ways. And these responses, when they occur over and over and over again, and they never end, are behind our health crisis. And it's not a doctor issue. This is the reason why the medical model is a failure, an utter and complete failure, an embarrassment, really, for chronic degenerative health issues. If you're a medical professional, you should be embarrassed of your profession when it comes to dealing with or treating chronic degenerative health issues. I'm a pharmacist. As a member of the pharmacy community, I'm embarrassed about how pharmacy works, how it poisons the body. If you're a doctor, you should be embarrassed too. It's a disgrace, really, to take money and to position ourselves as healthcare professionals, and we have this epidemic of chronic degenerative disease, but no matter, because it's all something that we as individuals can take care of ourselves. So the stress response that follows the hormone secretion, that follows the stress, can be high blood pressure, oily skin, melasma, dark spots, a suppression of the digestive movement leading to constipation, sometimes a loosening of the lower bowel that leads to diarrhea or loose stools, suppression of immunity, suppression of the protective response. All of these follow stress hormone secretion. There's 4 major stress hormones. You got adrenaline. That's for immediate action. That's for super duper emergencies, quick action. And then for longer term action, cortisol. And then estrogen for an inflammatory response. The inflammatory response also is part of stress. And then you got the fourth hormone, the one that nobody talks about, the one that we've been talking about here on the bright side. It's called aldosterone, poorly recognized as it is. That's our mineral control hormone. It controls blood pressure, and it's the one where the so-called ACE inhibitor drugs work. Cozar, losartan, Zestril, Prinavil. I remember when I was practicing retail pharmacy, there was a drug called Vasotec. It was a revolutionary high blood pressure drug. Came out, I believe, in the late 1980s, early 1990s. Since then, all these other ones have come out. These are ACE inhibitor drugs. I'm not going to tell you what ACE stands for. It's all complicated. Well, angiotensin converting enzyme. That's what ACE stands for. But it doesn't matter. The way it works is by suppressing aldosterone, because aldosterone is a high blood pressure hormone. It increases blood pressure. So by suppressing it, you lower blood pressure. This is how the medical model works. This is how the pharmacy model works. Let's shut down enzymes. Let's shut down chemistry. Let's poison the body, and then the blood pressure will drop. Okay, that makes sense. I'll poison my heart, and then my blood pressure will drop. I'll poison my aldosterone stress hormone system, and then my blood pressure will drop. Brilliant. Brilliant strategy. Anyway, aldosterone goes up in response to stress. Salts and electrolytes come out of cells and into the blood. Water always follows salt. Remember this. Water follows minerals. Minerals suck up water. If you've ever taken the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and you've ended up with loose stools or cramping, that's because of this property, this effect. The minerals and the electrolytes in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, there's so many of them. It's so dense with these minerals and electrolytes. If you do too much all at once, because water follows minerals, the minerals will not get absorbed if you have too much, or you're not absorbing properly. Water follows those minerals, and you end up with loose stools or sometimes cramping. Water always follows minerals. In the case of the blood, aldosterone releases minerals into the blood. Water follows minerals. The blood volume expands. There's more fluid in the blood, and the pressure goes up. But there's a problem. After that, you lose your minerals, and that's a big problem. We'll talk about that when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network.
We use mobile devices right against our bodies every day, but growing scientific evidence has emerged showing serious health risks associated with exposure to EMF radiation emitted from these devices. The solution is Defender Shield, the most effective mobile radiation shielding ever developed. Defender Shield blocks virtually 100% of EMF radiation from cell phones, tablets, and laptops, and starts at just $64.99. Buy now at DefenderShield.com. For 10% off, use promo code GCN. DefenderShield.com, the worldwide leader in mobile radiation shielding.
Are you still looking for that one iodine that you can really trust? A medical doctor endorsed product that is backed by honest research and true integrative science? Then search no further. Go to NutriMedical.com for Dr. Bill Deagle's Nutriodine, proven time and time again to be the very best iodine available for you. Nutriodine is the only Tesla-activated monatomic plasma iodine in the world. It optimizes mitochondrial function and generation of new mitochondria, from totally neutralizing the venom from a desert recluse spider bite in Southern California to eliminating malaria parasites reported by medical missionaries in Central India. Dr. Bill's Nutriodine is simply the most powerful healing formula there is. Nutriodine clears the body of all known pathogens, restores it to an alkaline state, and even promotes stem cell regeneration. Order Dr. Bill's Nutriodine today at 888-212-8871 or visit us online at NutriMedical.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Do you owe the IRS money? Has the IRS garnished your wages or put a lien against your house? The IRS has the power to make you pay back what they claim you owe and will stop at nothing to collect. There is a solution. Call Signature Tax now. Speak with our professionals and feel the weight of your tax burden lifted from your shoulders. Call now for your free and confidential analysis. 800-481-3147. Again, that's 800-481-3147. 800-481-3147.
Sciatica, lower back pain, hip pain, poor posture. If you suffer from any of these problems, get ready to relax. Introducing an amazing product that's been in the market for over 25 years, the Sacro Wedgie. It was invented by a football coach using a common-sense osteopath technique. He created this device to help his athletes by isolating and supporting the sacrum, which is the keystone of our anatomy. This wedge-shaped bone is in the center of our hips, where a lot of pain starts. Simply relax 20 minutes daily on the amazingly simple Sacro Wedgie and let gravity do the work, helping muscles rebalance and start releasing nerves. Sit in the Sacro Wedgie at the computer or while traveling to help correct posture to finally help relieve those stubborn aches and pains for only $33.95. It's made in the USA, so click the family-owned website at sacrowedgie.com, spelled SACROWEDGY.com, or call 1-800-737-9295. That's 1-800-737-9295. Relax your back pain away with the Sacro Wedgie.
Healthy, organic, fresh fish, robust, mouth-watering vegetables, all from your home. It's called aquaponics. This brilliant, self-sustaining protein and veggie system is perfect for year-round growing. Know exactly where your food is coming from. Aquaponicssource.com is the one-stop shop for all your needs. Fish, fish food, plumbing, full systems, classes, and more. Learn to build your own system. Go to aquaponicssource.com for a free guide to aquaponics. That's aquaponicssource.com.
Non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Turn on the news and you'll hear stories of natural disasters, political unrest, and financial crisis. In times of uncertainty, how will you take care of your family's most basic needs? Food Insurance, America's most trusted provider of freeze-dried emergency food, has solutions that fit your family's needs and budget. Our meals are delicious, nutritious, and come with a guaranteed 25-year shelf life. For a limited time, we are sending a free freeze-dried meal to all listeners of this program. Go to foodinsurance.com and request your free meal today. That's foodinsurance.com.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
Virtually anyone can hack your cell phone and track your calls, your texts, your emails, your every movement, but only if they can detect a signal. Stay one step ahead of hackers and Big Brother with a Block-It Pocket, a custom-made pocket infused with pure silver that creates a complete Faraday enclosure for your cell phone. For free shipping to the lower 48, visit blockitpocket.com or call 888-315-9618. blockitpocket.com, enhancing health and privacy.
What would your life be like if you woke up each morning with new vitality, feeling better than you have in years, and you noticed a difference in your sleeping patterns, blood sugar levels, and had a sense of well-being overall? There's something that is changing thousands of people's lives, and you could be one of them. It's called Heart and Body Extract. Sharon Harris, co-creator of Heart and Body Extract, talks about the positive effects of Heart and Body Extract.
What happens with the formula Heart and Body Extract is it's giving the body the necessary vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes, enzymes and phytonutrients so the body will heal itself. And yes, the body does have the ability to balance blood pressure, balance cholesterol, clean and unclog the arteries. It can also work on balancing the circulation for diabetics. So the body is an amazing thing. It simply needs some help so it has the tools to heal itself.
Heart and Body Extract gets results. To order your 2-month supply, call now, toll free at 866-295-5305. Order online at hbextract.com.
The human body is more than 60% water. Your brain and muscles are 75% water. And your blood is 92% water. Water's vital to your body, and alkalizing your water is the key to keep it running at its best. AlkaVision Plasma pH drops keep your entire body healthy, boosts energy, promotes weight loss, and even fights cancer. Call 800-518-7615 or go to alkavision.com to find out more. That's alkavision.com.
Sciatica, lower back pain, hip pain, poor posture. If you suffer from any of these problems, get ready to relax. Introducing an amazing product that's been in the market for over 25 years, the Sacro Wedgie. It was invented by a football coach using a common sense osteopath technique. He created this device to help his athletes by isolating and supporting the sacrum, which is the keystone of our anatomy. This wedge-shaped bone is in the center of our hips, where a lot of pain starts. Simply relax 20 minutes daily on the amazingly simple Sacro Wedgie and let gravity do the work, helping muscles rebalance and start releasing nerves. Sit in the Sacro Wedgie at the computer or while traveling to help correct posture to finally help relieve those stubborn aches and pains for only $33.95. It's made in the USA, so click the family-owned website at sacrowedgie.com, spelled SACROWEDGY.com, or call 1-800-737-9295. That's 1-800-737-9295. Relax your back pain away with the Sacro Wedgie.
Got 4 major stress hormones. Cortisol, which we talk about all the time. That's a kind of long-term stress hormone, relatively long-term. None of the stress hormones are supposed to be secreted for too long a period, but over the course of hours, perhaps, cortisol helps manage the stress response. Adrenaline is for instant response to stress. You ever see those movies or the stereotype of the little old lady lifting up the car because a baby is underneath, or these great feats of strength that are performed by people when there's an emergency? They're usually operating under the control of the hormone adrenaline. Everybody's heard of adrenaline. Cortisol is a more longer-acting stress hormone. And then estrogen, believe it or not, and you guys listening to this program know this because we talk about it all the time, but most folks don't realize estrogen is really one of the hormones that mediate the stress response, particularly when it comes to immunity and inflammation. The 4th stress hormone is the mineral stress hormone. That's the one that raises our blood pressure by enhancing the movement of minerals out of cells into the blood. As minerals move out of cells into the blood, water follows. Water always follows minerals. That's called osmosis. Water follows minerals. Minerals have an osmotic effect. They pull water. The water goes into the blood. It raises the volume, and the pressure increases. Here's the problem. As the minerals are leaving the cells and entering into the blood, eventually, they get excreted through the kidneys. Well, they're water soluble, they go right through the kidneys, and ultimately we lose our sodium and potassium and magnesium and our calcium and our chloride. That means the more stress we're under, the more likely we are to be mineral deficient. The more stress we're under, the more likely we are to be electrolyte deficient. Electrolytes conduct electricity. The more stress we're under, the more electrolyte deficient we become, the lower our body's electricity, and the more we feel like crap. This is called adrenal fatigue. And it's the result of a long-term stress response that leads to mineral depletion from cells and mineral depletion from the body. That's why the more stress we're dealing with and the higher our blood pressure, the more important and helpful it becomes to make sure you're getting your electrolytes via veggies, fruits, and other living foods, including nutritional yeast, which is a wonderful, amazing nutritional food, living food. You know, when nutritional yeast and brewer's yeast, they're alive. You're actually eating yeast cells, and those yeast cells are loaded with minerals, loaded with selenium, loaded with magnesium, loaded with B vitamins, loaded with electrical nutrients. Put a little yeast on your salads. Put a little yeast in your smoothies. And don't worry if somebody told you have yeast infection or candida. It's a completely different yeast. It's not the same thing. Eggs and sprouts and veggies, these are all wonderful ways to replace electrolytes. And if you're dealing with adrenal fatigue issues, it's a must. It's not optional. Get a Vitamix, get a NutriBullet, make fresh celery juice. Throw in a couple of beets or a couple pieces of beet, and you'll get some flavor in there. Celery tastes great anyway. And always mix salt in. Celtic sea salt, that is, with your celery juice, with your vegetable juice. The combination of the electrolytes and the salt and the water and the vortex, the spinning vortex of your blender, will generate an electrical charge. You'll be drinking electrical energy. One of my all-time favorite living foods is oysters, raw oysters, which are great sources of electrolytes, especially potassium and sodium, as well as magnesium. The more stress you're under, the more adrenal issues you have, the higher your blood pressure, especially if it's high blood pressure, a combination of high blood pressure and oily skin and high blood pressure and melasma and dark spots, you can rest assured you got an adrenal problem. That means the more important it is to make sure you're drinking electrolytes, getting your electrolytes. Of course, your electrolyte BTT, your electrolyte rich beyond tangy tangerine, can be super duper important and helpful, as can just drinking plain old salt water. Just drinking Celtic sea salt or Himalayan salt. How do you like that? The higher your aldosterone is, and the longer your blood pressure is elevated, the more likely you are to be salt deficient. And of course, our brilliant medical model says, well, that's when you don't want to drink salt, or that's when you want to stay away from salt. Now, I'm not talking here about Morton salt. I'm talking about Celtic sea salt or Himalayan salt. Morton's or any table salt will give you sodium and chloride, but the main salts in the body are the potassium, the magnesium, and the calcium, in addition to the sodium chloride. So the higher your blood pressure, or the longer your blood pressure is elevated, the more likely you are to be salt deficient, especially if you have other symptoms of excess adrenal activity, including melasma and dark spots. The more important it is to drink salt water. And you know how you can tell if you should be drinking salt water? If you feel better after you drink it. All right? If you feel better after you do a little bit of Celtic sea salt water, you know you needed that salt, regardless of what your doctor told you. And by the way, intelligent researchers now understand that it's time to end this silliness about low salt. If your doctor is still on this low salt kick, then you might want to tell him to do a little bit of research. You might want to tell him to become a researcher or a student of biochemistry. Fact of the matter is, aldosterone and elevated blood pressure typically lead to salt deficiency, which means you want salt, not low salt. You want to make sure you're having salt: potassium, magnesium, calcium, sodium, and chloride. In the skin, sweat glands and oil glands are also activated by the stress hormone aldosterone. We've talked about oily skin and that's associated with acne, or just oily skin in general, as a sign that the body is in distress, as a manifestation of the stress response. And we've talked about oily skin as it is a result of elevated cortisol, but also elevated aldosterone will lead to oily skin. You actually have little aldosterone-sensitive oil glands. Oil glands and sweat glands, for that matter, are both responsive to aldosterone, and blocking aldosterone with drugs is actually a dermatology strategy for treating acne. There's a drug called spironolactone, some of you may have heard of. Spironolactone is a drug that blocks aldosterone. And the logic is, by blocking aldosterone, you dry up your skin oils. Now, spironolactone is a blood pressure drug. It was developed to lower blood pressure by blocking aldosterone, but it turns out that will also help slow down the production of oil. Sometimes dermatologists will prescribe it topically. I used to make a spironolactone cream for patients who had really oily skin. They just apply topically, and it was supposed to help dry up skin oils via this aldosterone blocking effect. I never did find it to be very effective, understandably, because aldosterone is a stress hormone, and you're not going to lower it by rubbing it on your skin. So how do you make sure your aldosterone and your adrenal glands are all operating correctly, everything's firing on all cylinders? How do we support aldosterone so it's not being secreted in excess? How do you stabilize it? How do we protect and nourish the adrenal glands to prevent burnout and adrenal fatigue? Well, there's lots of ways. Nutritional supplementation is great. Dietary strategy is great. And there's a really cool strategy you could use. I'll tell you what that is here when we come back from our break. So how do you make sure your aldosterone and your adrenal glands and your stress system is operating correctly? Well, there's lots of ways, and we're going to talk about a bunch of nutritional strategies. But one of my all-time favorite ways to stabilize the body, to relax the body, to protect the adrenal glands, and to make sure your aldosterone system is running pristinely and operating correctly is to go out and get some sun. Lay out in the sun. Vitamin D, which is stimulated by solar rays. Vitamin D hits the skin, hits cholesterol in the skin for that matter, and turns it into vitamin D. Vitamin D lowers aldosterone levels. Vitamin D is ridiculously important. There's so many ways vitamin D is important for health, for immune health, for digestive health, for relaxation reasons. Vitamin D, as it turns out, also lowers aldosterone levels. That means lower blood pressure. Vitamin D will lower your blood pressure. The sun is your best antihypertensive. When was the last time you got a prescription for the sun? Oh, never, because you don't pay for it. It's free. Nobody can bill you for the sun yet. I haven't figured out how to do that. I'm sure one of these days that'll happen. But for now, you can lower your blood pressure for free and improve digestive health and improve immune health and improve mood. All of these things are associated with vitamin D. Vitamin D, by the way, is well known as a anti-multiple sclerosis substance. Speaking of multiple sclerosis, it turns out melatonin is also important for helping reduce multiple sclerosis flare-ups. This is an article that I got here off of from the Mauricio Fares and Jorge Carrele Institute of Neurological Research in Argentina. Seasonal flare-ups in patients with multiple sclerosis are caused by plummeting levels of melatonin. Making sure you're getting enough melatonin. Melatonin is also super relaxing. Anyway, vitamin D, antihypertensive via the sun, another reason to get out in the sun. Doctors will tell you to stay out of the sun. If you have hypertension, you avoid the sun, you're increasing the likelihood that you're going to be put on an ACE inhibitor or an antihypertensive of some kind. Lower your blood pressure by laying out in the sun. Now, that's my kind of medicine. All right, got so much more to say. I want to tell you about African Americans and their risk of hypertension because of their pigmentation, as it turns out. We'll talk about that tomorrow or on our next Bright Side episode. And then we'll talk about some nutritional strategies for the adrenal glands, for lowering blood pressure, and also for stabilizing aldosterone. Okay, 844-236-6010 is our number. Got lines open for you. Let's go to California and talk to my buddy Graziano. What's up, bro? How you doing, man?
Hey, Ben. It's good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you as well. What's cooking? Oh, you want to talk about the seizures? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the seizures and the ketogenic diet. I've got a good friend. They got two sons that are like 13 and I think 11, and both of them have seizures. So
okay.
I just kind of, and I think they might be listening to the show right now.
Oh, perfect.
Or I'm going to send the link to them. So
let's talk about seizure disorders, okay? And we'll talk about it as it relates to the ketogenic diet. First of all, a seizure is a sign that the electrical current through the brain is jumpy. It's short-circuiting. The body's an electrical system in general, but the most electrical part of the body is probably the brain. And electrical energy has to run smoothly through the brain. Under conditions of inflammation or nutritional deficiency, under conditions of high energy in the brain, especially in combination with nutritional deficiency, what you're going to end up with is short circuits. The energy will not be conducted in a smooth fashion, and it'll become jumpy. You want to look to inflammation, nutritional deficiencies, and also high energy, lots of electrical energy. Well, let's take the first element, which is super high amounts of electrical energy. Sugar is highly energetic, and this is where the benefit of the ketogenic diet comes in. It's a low sugar diet. You know, a lot of folks talk about the paleo diet. You know, the paleo diet is a marketing term. Paleo diet, Paleolithic eating, this is all marketing. There's no way we're going to eat Paleolithically. Our Paleolithic ancestors didn't eat coconut flour. Our Paleolithic ancestors ate raw meat or cooked, maybe quickly roasted meat. They didn't eat Paleolithic snack bars and Paleolithic gluten-free pizza. So you can't really eat paleo. That's not logical. But what is logical is to go ketogenic. Ketogenic means low carbohydrate and mostly fat and protein, especially coconut oil fat. And coconut oil is super important for seizure disorders for that reason. So the ketogenic diet slows the body down. This is why it has so many multiple benefits. Being low sugar, it releases energy. The food energy is released slowly and in a kind of low level. When you eat sugar, you get a quick spike in energy. This is the problem with the standard American diet. We get these quick spikes of energy, and then the body's energy management system has to kick in. With the ketogenic diet, which is a protein diet and a fat diet, protein, I hesitate to say high protein or high fat. It's just mostly protein and mostly fat, good fat that is. That slows everything down in the body. That's why it's so helpful for cancer. That's why it's so helpful for longevity. That's why it's so helpful for brain issues. That's why it's so helpful for seizure disorders. Does that make sense the way I explained that, Graziano? It kind of slows the body down. It's like your computer. You know, you don't want your hard drive running really hot. You want your hard drive running cool. That's why there's a fan in it. Well, it's the same thing with the body. The body is like a super high-tech biological computer, and just like you don't want your hard drive overheating, you don't want your body overheating, sugar overheats it. The ketogenic diet cools things down. Step number 1. Step number 2, if you're dealing with a seizure disorder, is you've got to stop the stream of inflammatory chemicals, inflammatory molecules that come in through the diet. That means staying away from any foods that cause any kind of digestive distress. Staying away from pro-inflammatory foods. Again, sugars, refined flours, trans fatty acids, and pretty much any processed foods are going to make the brain hyperexcitable, hyperactive. And speaking of hyperexcitable, excitotoxins, these are food additives, especially food additives that are used to make crappy foods more palatable, MSG and such. These things have to be avoided as well because, again, they hype up the brain. They rev up the electrical energy of the brain. So, number 1, the ketogenic diet. Number 2, staying away from pro-inflammatory foods. And number 3, stabilizing electrical energy with nutrition. And there's lots of wonderful nutrients that help do that. One of the most important is something called taurine, Taurine. Everybody with a seizure disorder needs to be on taurine. Anybody with a heart problem should probably be on taurine also. You know, if you look in the ingredient deck of your Red Bull, you'll find taurine as an ingredient. Why? Because the taurine dampens the excessive energy of the caffeine. Caffeine hypes up the electrical energy of the body. Taurine dampens that electrical energy. Wonderful for helping deal with seizure disorders. The amino acid glycine, likewise. Glycine's been used to treat seizure disorders since the 1920s. Taurine and glycine, also arginine, might be helpful. The B vitamins are ridiculously important for all electrical issues, including seizure disorders. High doses of the B vitamins, especially niacin and thiamine, those can be helpful. Vitamin C, likewise, and also electrolytes, specifically potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium, and chloride, the substances we've been talking about now for a couple of weeks. Hang tight, Graziano. A couple more things I want to tell you. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. 844-236-6010 is our number. We'll be back right after this. Okay, we are back on The Bright Side. Got lines open at 844-236-6010. Graziano in California. You there, my man?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, so seizure disorders are the manifestation of a hyper-excitable state. That's the bottom line. Okay, make sense so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's compounded by inflammation, nutritional deficiency, perhaps low levels of oxygen, and certainly sugar is a big problem. Glycine, taurine, arginine, these are amino acids that can help slow down electrical energy, taurine especially, also glycine. Arginine not so much, but arginine also has important brain health benefits. The B vitamins, vitamin C, all of your electrolytes, and then, of course, the ketogenic diet, and also caloric restriction in general, just eating less food, just fasting. Fasting is a great anti-seizure strategy, at least caloric restriction. And when I say caloric restriction, I'm not talking about food restriction. I'm talking about calorie restriction. So eating high nutritional density foods, low calorie, high nutrition. I call that the CRAN diet or the CRON diet, calorie restriction optimum nutrition. And of course, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine is a great way to do that. Bone soup, sprouts, living foods, eggs, nutrient-dense foods, so you don't have to have as much calories. Calories represent heat and energy, and especially foods that are high calorie, low nutrition, those are the worst. Oxygenation, deep breathing techniques can help, again, for the same reason, to relax that hyperexcitable state. And then there's some miscellaneous relaxing nutrients. GABA is one, so is lithium, maybe 500 milligrams of GABA a day. Taking GABA before you go to bed. Lithium is another relaxing nutrient. Melatonin, that can help relax you, although I don't know necessarily if I would use melatonin for a child. But melatonin still has relaxing effects. Niacin, very important B vitamin for the brain. And then, of course, essential fatty acids, particularly omega-3 fatty acids that come from fish and also from flax. Is that helpful, Graziano? Got lots of good information there, my man.
Yeah,
Does that make
that's
sense?
good. And
How
then
you calm the body down. Yes.
And then one other thing, a good story I've been wanting to call and let you know. I started listening. My daughter has celiac, so I started listening to you back in October 2011. And
2011?
That, 2011.
Wow.
And I had gone to the Children's Hospital down in San Diego, and they were, those medical priests were just going crazy, and they wanted to give her biopsy. She was 2 years old.
She was 3?
My daughter, she was what? Excuse me.
She was 3, you said?
Yeah, she was 3. Then they're like, we think it's celiac, blah blah blah. We're gonna give her a biopsy to find. I'm like, you know what? You're crazy. So I took my daughter with my wife. We took off. By dumb luck, as Joel Wallach talks about, I came across InfoWars. The last 5 minutes of the show, you were on there, and within 30 seconds, you opened your mouth and said, the body can heal itself and overcome things like celiac. I'm like, what the heck? So I, jumped out of my seat in the office. This is crazy. Either this guy's lying or he's on something that nobody knows. So I started listening to your show, Brightside Ben, instantly bought the BTT, instantly applied everything you talked about to my entire family. Within a sip of the BTT, my daughter's celiac went away.
Wow, that's awesome,
and she doesn't have it anymore. I mean, we give her BTT. I started the Healthy Start Pack. I did the food diet, and all our friends are like, wow, you guys are really healthy. What is that you guys do? Hey, man, I listen to Brightside Ben, go to this site. I apply everything he learns, blah, blah, blah. I do the Healthy Start Pack. I got the CO Pack. I started pushing longevity products, and then they're like, yeah, that's cool. We'll keep eating unhealthy, and because we love being sick. You gotta apply.
I know what you're talking about. Wow, that's some good news, though. I appreciate you sharing that, Graziano. Thanks so much for calling, my man.
I appreciate everything you do. So keep up the good work, man.
Thank you, bro. Be good. Have a good weekend, man. We'll talk again soon. Okay. Wow, that's kind of cool. All right, Dustin in Ohio. Welcome to the Bright Side. What's up, bro?
No, not much. A friend of mine told me about you, and I figured I'd take a listen and give you a call.
First day? All right, first day you're listening?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. I'm glad you called. What's up, man?
Starting last November, I had a fever. Ran it for a month and a half. It went away for a while.
You had a fever for a month and a half?
Yes, it ran at about 103.
Wow, for a month and a half?
Yeah.
How old are you, Dustin?
I am 35. I was 34 last November.
So what else is going on? You have to have something else going on. It's not just a fever.
Yeah. Well, it went away till about June of 2015, and it came back for, on and off for about a month and a half again. It went away for the month of July, came back in August, every other week, and then now for the last month and 1 week, I've steadily been running low-grade fevers.
Now, when you say low-grade, you're saying low-grade, but 103 is not a low-grade.
Well, yeah, the 103 was in November, but more recently, it stayed low-grade. I haven't gone over 100.9.
Okay, that's low-grade.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what you're going to need to do. First of all, and you should start doing this right away. When you run a low-grade fever, you're running hot. You're burning through nutrients. Your body, your metabolism's revved up. And that means you're burning through your electrical nutrients, your water-soluble nutrients, etc. So what you need to be doing is, number one, you need to be drinking water, all right, lots of it. But not just drinking water, you got to make sure you're getting your water-soluble nutrients with your water. Get on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, and I would be doing it I'd be doing it today, especially if you've had this condition going on for as long as you say you've had it. You are very likely running into nutritional deficiencies, and that's going to exacerbate your symptomology. Aside from the cause of whatever the cause is, above and beyond that, you're going to have secondary nutritional deficiencies. Does that make sense? You're running into secondary nutritional deficiencies that are going to make matters worse, and you could end up in this vicious downward spiral. You need the B vitamins, vitamin C, and your electrolytes today. Now, you're going to have to order the BTT if you're not on it already, but what you can do is go to your grocery store and go get some veggies and start making veggie juices. And those will get you some electrolytes, which you probably need right away. And I'd probably be using some vitamin C right away, too. So until you get your BTT, you might want to go to the health food store or wherever you get your nutrients and go get some vitamin C. That's just to stem the tide of nutrient loss that's following the fever. But let's get to the fever. That's kind of concerning. There's a lot of reasons why you can run into these, they call them FUOs, fever of unknown origin. Did I tell you that, FUOs?
They didn't. I figured all that out on my own.
Okay, well, good for you.
The doctors haven't been able to tell me anything.
Okay, well, here's the main reasons. You can have an infection somewhere, a bacterial infection, all right?
We've ruled that out. Okay,
now, how did you rule that out? Just a blood test?
Yeah, I've had multiple blood tests.
Okay, so I'm still, we'll rule that out for now, but I don't know necessarily that I would if we really want to get to the bottom of things, but just in interest of time, we'll rule out infection. God forbid it could be a malignancy of some kind. It could be a cancer of some kind, but you would have other symptoms, and you don't have any of those, I assume. Do you have anything else going on with your digestive system or blood pressure? Or you're dizzy when you wake up in the morning, or blood sugar, or weight gain issues, and weight loss issues? You got to find those.
It started. I lost probably 20 to 25 pounds starting in June 2014, and because I weighed 145 to 135 pounds. That was my average range.
How tall are you?
5'4".
Okay, so you're 5'4", 125 now?
5'4", 120 now.
Okay, is it 120 lean and mean or 120 skinny? Got muscle on you? Are you working out?
Yeah.
Doing any?
No, I'm not working out, but I'm still toned.
Okay, you're still toned. Okay, so we'll rule out any issues for the dramatic weight loss as long as you're still muscular and toned. It could also be some kind of a blood vessel disease. Sometimes that can do it, and it can also be some kind of you said there's no bacterial issue or viral issue, although I'm not convinced. Those usually are the causes. What other symptoms do you have? That's the key. Now, I don't expect you to answer that right away because you're going to have to search for it. But this is how you do it. This is how you handle the problem. This is for everybody listening. When you have some kind of mysterious issue, you have to put together a picture of symptomology. And I always give this, I love this analogy. It's like you sound young, and you're only 35. You probably don't know who Bob Ross is. He was a painter who used to be on television, and he would show you how easy it is.
I used to watch him when I was a kid.
Then you know who I'm talking about, right? He put a little dot in the middle of the painting, and you couldn't tell what it was. But then he put a line, and all of a sudden you had a river. And then another line, you got a mountain. You know what I'm talking about? And then another line, all of a sudden there's a horizon and there's trees, and just with little dots you form a whole picture. Well, it's the same thing when you're trying to assess what's going on in the body. You need a bunch of dots. Right now we only got one dot. You know what I'm saying? We only have the fever dot. We need to find multiple dots so that we can form a picture of what's happening in your body. The dots represent symptoms. So you got some homework to do, and I'm glad to help you with this when you get some data. You got to collect a bunch of dots, and that means maybe digestive issues, or maybe you're tired when you wake up in the morning, or maybe you're craving sugar or salt, or maybe, like I say, you feel dizzy or woozy when you get up, or when you go into a standing position from a sitting position, etc. You got to look for other symptoms. Right now we only have one dot in the middle of our canvas, and there's no picture that we can get. So if you want to do some homework, collect some dots, and then we'll connect the dots for you, and we'll get a picture, and we'll tell you what to do. You can either call us in the program, or you can send an email to ben@ksco.com. Thanks, Dustin. Appreciate your call. That's all the time we have for today. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll talk to y'all later, folks. Bye for now.
On the average, Americans work between 45 to 50 years, hoping to build up enough wealth to retire and live out their golden years. Unfortunately, with taxation, the rising cost of food, energy, housing, and medical, many retirees are forced to live below the poverty line. Is this a flaw free enterprise, or is our monetary unit we call the Federal Reserve Note forcing us into perpetual debt, ensuring inflation and higher taxes? These questions and more can be answered by reading G. Edward Griffin's book, The Creature from Jekyll Island. Congressman Ron Paul states it's what every American needs to know about central bank power. A gripping adventure into the secret world of international banking cartel. Hi, this is Ted Anderson. I will give a silver dollar from the early 1900s to anyone who purchases this book. Call 1-800-686-2237 and order a copy today. It's critical that the public be made aware of the system. Call and order your copy today at 1-800-686-2237. That's 1-800-686-2237.
Most of us already know that taking a fish oil supplement to boost omega-3s is a good idea. But did you know that about 60% of Americans are actually deficient in omega-3s? Did you know that most fish oil products contain only about 25% omega-3s and the remaining 75% is undesirable fish fat? Heck, did you know that more than 90% of fish oil supplements sold in the USA are not even made here? If you want to boost your omega-3s using the finest American-made fish oil, check out Nutrigold fish oil supplements on www.fishoil.best. Nutrigold fish oils are independently 5-star certified and guaranteed to be exceptionally pure. That means no more fish burps. Best of all, just one Nutrigold fish oil capsule contains more omega-3s than 4 standard fish oil capsules. Go to www.fishoil.best or call 888-920-1497 and use promo code BESTFISHOIL to get a free 1-month supply. That's www.fishoil.best or call 888-920-1497.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.
Sciatica, lower back pain, hip pain, poor posture. If you suffer from any of these problems, get ready to relax. Introducing an amazing product that's been in the market for over 25 years, the Sacro Wedgie. It was invented by a football coach using a common-sense osteopath technique. He created this device to help his athletes by isolating and supporting the sacrum, which is the keystone of our anatomy. This wedge-shaped bone is in the center of our hips, where a lot of pain starts. Simply relax 20 minutes daily on the amazingly simple Sacro Wedgie and let gravity do the work, helping muscles rebalance and start releasing nerves. Sit in the Sacro Wedgie at the computer or while traveling to help correct posture to finally help relieve those stubborn aches and pains for only $33.95. It's made in the USA, so click the family-owned website at sacrowedgie.com, spelled SACROWEDGY.com, or call 1-800-737-9295. That's 1-800-737-9295. Relax your back pain away with the Sacro Wedgie.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS?
Get on board with the Tax Admiral. Don't take on the IRS alone. I'll cut penalties and reduce your overall tax bill. Sometimes I can even get it zeroed out completely.
We're an A-rated company helping people clean up their mess with the IRS.
If you owe $10,000 or more, then call the Tax Admiral.
Call 800-287-7180. Again, that's 800-287-7180. 800-287-7180.
The human body is more than 60% water. Your brain and muscles are 75% water. And your blood is 92% water. Water's vital to your body, and alkalizing your water is the key to keep it running at its best. AlkaVision Plasma pH drops keep your entire body healthy, boosts energy, promotes weight loss, and even fights cancer. Call 800-518-7615 or go to alkavision.com to find out more. That's ALKAvision.com.
Have you ever felt like the United States government knows way too much about your financial affairs? I continue to hear stories about property seizures, frozen bank accounts, confiscation of stocks and bonds. It makes me wonder if the U.S. citizen will ever again have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unfortunately, with the Drug and Money Laundering Act, the IRS Revenue Ruling 6045 of 1984, and the Trading with the Enemy Act and Franklin D. Roosevelt's Executive Order of 1933, some precious metal holdings are subject to government intervention. For this reason, Midas Resources has prepared a report explaining the boundaries of trading precious metals privately. Whether if you have any intention of trading with Midas Resources or not, I have instructed my representatives to give this report out free. Call for your free copy at 1-800-686-2237. When investing, always proceed with caution. Again, call 1-800-686-2237. Exercise your legal right to trade metals privately. 1-800-686-2237.
Paid non-attorney spokesperson Adam Pulaski of the Pulaski Law Firm with principal office in Houston, Texas is the attorney responsible for the content of this ad. This ad is not legal advice, and the choice of a lawyer should not be based solely upon advertisement. Services may not be available in all states.
Attention Xarelto users. If you or a loved one took Xarelto and suffered a serious bleeding event, you may be entitled to financial compensation. Xarelto is a popular prescription blood thinner used to prevent blood clots and protect patients from strokes. These serious bleeding events have led to numerous cases of hospitalization and even death. Phone lines are open 24/7. Call 800-261-0937. That's 800-261-0937.